Welcome, everybody. This feels so formal, but then it goes with the bow tie and the 10-year-old tux. Welcome to the Black Swan Ball, which is just the cool name that we came up with at a board meeting about a year ago. Thinking about how to think about the future in ways that I think it was Michael that actually launched the topic at the board meeting. Michael Berman over here. We also have our board chair, Wendy Shapiro, and Ruben. Yeah. Did I miss any board members? This is their idea, actually. This idea hatched at a board meeting back in, I think it was in March of last year. And the notion was, we were marking a milestone. This year, the Horizon Project was just moved to a whole nother level. We passed 5 million downloads of the Horizon Report this year. In 1 year. Who are all these people? That's what we were But, and then our new library report for academic and research libraries was, what was it, Sam? 1.2 million? In 8 days, yeah, and we're, of course, that was just the first 8 days, and we're 6 months after that now, so that's gone way up as well. And so we were reflecting on the responsibility that kind of success brings, because we don't really make money, you know, they're free, right? So the numbers go up, that just adds cost, it doesn't add, we're not rich or anything. Yeah, it's just more work for us. But there is a tremendous sense of responsibility that we have been going. Malcolm and I were talking about, we've been partnering with ELI for years on the higher ed report. It'll be released in just a few weeks out in Anaheim. Traditionally we do that one at ELI every year, and that sort of sets the pace for the whole year for the project. But anyway, you know, we're reflecting on the board of this success, and Michael, you know, raised the point that the Horizon Project is really a centrist sort of approach to thinking about the future, because we're really looking for consensus. That kind of automatically means that ideas that are at the fringes are going to fall away, because we're looking for consensus. And what that means, and this was Michael's point, is that we're going to miss some things, and they might be really important things. And we got to talking about that and realized we don't really know how to think about stuff like that. You know, it's a very, very challenging sort of task to figure out that if you create a mobile device that doesn't have any buttons on it, or only one, that it's going to sell hundreds of millions of each device, and, you know, completely change the way that we think about mobile computing and the internet and everything. And that was the iPhone. Who saw that coming? You know, I sold my Apple stock before they released it. That's how good I am at picking the black swans out. The notion of black swan, for those of you who haven't read Taleb's book, which I do recommend, but it is a pretty fat book, is back in the 1800s, they, in Europe, thought there were only white swans, and so they would refer to a black swan as something improbable, kind of like the way that we talk about unicorns and magic beans today. You know, that, you know, we wish they were around, but then they discovered that, in fact, black swans exist in Australia, and they're real. And so he latched on to the notion of the term to describe something that's highly improbable. And then he added the notion of, if we could figure out how to recognize things that could be really impactful early in their development, what a wonderful skill that would be. You know, that we could really get ahead of the curve, we could marshal resources, we could all be rich. You know, there's just a million wonderful things that could happen if we could do this. We got really jazzed about thinking about how to approach it, and that was the genesis for this meeting. And every one of you is handpicked to be here. This is a tremendous room. of folks. We have a significant critical mass of schools represented, of libraries, of museums, and of course universities. And we're going to use that dimension of the fact that we're all coming at learning from different perspectives to help us to think differently. But the real outcome of our time together is going to be your perceptions about how to think about these sorts of events, these black swans, and what your takeaways are from our explorations of it. And so we're going to go through a number of processes. Let me introduce Giselle down here, who is from the Grove. You will hear a lot from Giselle in the next day and a half. Tonight she's going to be relatively quiet and just showing us how beautiful she can visually record events, but she's going to be facilitating our conversations and helping to synthesize ideas and such. And then, as you'll hear in the morning, Gordon Jackson, who has been a tremendous benefit to the NMC as our CTO, has created a tool so that you can submit your reflections on any of the topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about imaging, and we're going to talk about machine learning over the course of the thing, and the network, and privacy, and these topics we selected mostly because they're controversial. And because they're either continuing to develop in an arc that has been going on for a long time, like the network, but now, we're in the era of network effects, or they're so new that we don't really know where they're going to go. And there could be a dark side or maybe some positive sides, like drones. Are there any learning applications for this? So I don't want to drone on about that, speaking of drones, so I'm going to stop at this point. And I want to introduce my colleagues, Samantha and Alex, if you'll come up here. They want to kind of share with you a little information that will be useful to you. It's such a cool hat, you know. Only in Texas, if you show up with a hat like that, does it mean you've really dressed up, so,